Gigi Blankies, since 2011, presents on Blog Talk Radio Musings with Steve and Teresa. Gigi Blankies are baby blankets and toddler blankets for many and all. Call 740-727-1684 and talk with Teresa about the many different designs that she has available. Now on to the show.
Tuesday, May the 22nd. Getting ready to do our 22nd
5 seconds.
Blog Talk Radio. Here we go.
2, 1. Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Blog Talk Radio. Our show is captured and linked to YouTube. The programs are listed in the archives of both Blog Talk Radio and YouTube video. You can watch as well as listen. We refer to our efforts as Musings with Steve and Teresa, and the shows are archived as such. A phone number will be presented in a minute in the program, so have paper and pen ready. We welcome your opinions during our discussion. I'm Steve, a co-host.
I'm Teresa, the other co-host.
We're here to enlighten, entertain, and inform about issues that we think are important. Yeah. We want people to think about how positive actions make positive people. Anyone wanting to join in our discussion can call us at 347-308-8409. You'll be next in line. Again, 347-308-8409.
Thank you.
Terry, I see you got a beautiful blankie.
Yes, this one I call, actually Critter Claws. You probably can't see it on the vid, but it's got sayings on it about bugs. Like it says, owls are wise and have big eyes. Flower petals tickle your nose and feel soft on fingers and toes. Turtles poke along their merry way, getting somewhere takes all day. And similar sayings about every bug that you could think of. Let's see, there it is. This one's horizontal. And it's made out of 100% cotton with the jewel tone binding, which I thought accented tealish. But I think it'd be good for any gender child. And then the other day I had somebody ask me, why should I buy a blankie for my child? And it's like, well,
why should you buy a blankie besides we got them?
Yeah, well, actually, children need a blankie or some kind of equivalent as they're growing up, because toddlers have a lot to deal with when you think about it. They got to learn how to use that body. They got to learn how to talk, eat, walk, everything. And they get stressed out, and it's important for them to be able to self-soothe. And a blankie or something to the equivalent, some people call them loveys or, stuffed animals, whatever. But this has got the nice, soft satin edge. Now, my granddaughter rubs it around her face, and before long, she's out cold. But there are psychological reasons and developmental reasons why blankies are important in a child's life. And I just thought they were really neat. I thought they had magic when I saw how it affected Shane. When I gave her a blankie, she shut right up. I said, these are magic.
Yeah, sound control, volume control.
Well, and I started making them because everybody needs to be able to self-soothe. And there we go.
There we go. Well, hey, I got a story here that I ran into. It's about an old mule. And an old hillbilly farmer had a wife who nagged him unmercifully, and from morning till night she was always complaining about something. The only time he got any relief when he was out plowing with his old mule. He plowed a lot. One day when he was out plowing, his wife brought him lunch in the field. He drove the old mule into the shade, sat down on a stump, and began to eat his lunch. Immediately, his wife began nagging him again. Complain, nag. It just went on and on. And all of a sudden, the old mule lashed out with both hind feet, caught her smack in the back of the head, killed her dead on the spot.
Uh-oh.
At the funeral several days later, the minister noticed something rather odd. When a woman mourner would approach the old farmer, he would listen for a moment, then nod his head in agreement. But when a man mourner approached him, he would listen for a minute, then shake his head in disagreement. This was so consistent, the minister decided to ask the old farmer about it. So after the funeral, the minister spoke to the old farmer and asked him why he nodded his head and agreed with the women, but always shook his head and disagreed with all the men. The old farmer said, well, the women would come up and say something about how nice my wife looked or how pretty her dress was, so I'd nod my head in agreement. Well, what about the men? The minister asked. He said, they wanted to know if the mule was for sale.
No, it's not for sale.
I had a chance to look up some quotations here, and the guys were at the turn of the century. Franklin Pierce Adams was born in 1881. He was a poet and writer, and he says, the best you get is an even break.
Yeah, that would be nice to have an even break.
And Henry Adams says practical politics consists in ignoring facts. George Ade says anybody can win unless there happens to be a second entry.
You can lead a man to Congress, but you can't make him think.
I kind of like that one. I like the one that you picked up here. It says, I used to be indecisive, but now I'm not so sure. Last week, we compared perspectives of changing times as viewed by people in the 1800s. We presented a few years of Ohio River history and ran out of time. So we return to that treasured time, the first decade of the 20th century. That's right, we're now in the 21st century.
Really? Where's my flying car?
Yeah. We're continuing in our efforts to entertain and amuse you by presenting our views of that time. Some stories are true, some are fiction, and some are just jokes. So join us, share as we present selected stories about some people from yesteryear. When researching for river history about the steamboats and the bypass canal around the rapids at Louisville, and other interesting facts about flatboats and keelboats, I found Coney Island.
Coney Island.
I fell in love with Coney Island in my teens. My research brought back that love, so you get to hear about Coney Island today. Coney Island was a large amusement park about 10 miles upriver from Cincinnati, Ohio, on the Ohio side, of course. Originally, the park was not a so profitable apple orchard. In 1870, James Parker, the apple farmer, was asked by a group of Cincinnatians to rent the land to them for a private picnic. They intended to charter a steamboat to bring their group to the orchard. Parker, realizing this was potentially more profitable than his apple farming, began renting out his land and built a dining hall, a dancing hall, a bowling alley. He even added a mule-powered merry-go-round.
This guy really caught on something.
Parker's Grove became popular with its maple picnic groves that replaced the dying apple trees.
Okay.
16 years later, the Ohio Grove Corporation, a group headed by two steamboat captains, Captain William and Captain Malcolm McIntyre, purchased the grove. Their intention was to encourage the public to become familiar with steamboat travel, particularly their boats.
Yeah.
The name was changed to Ohio Grove, the Coney Island of the West, linking themselves to that very famous New York resort, Coney Island. Ohio Grove opened on a rainy day, June 21st, 1886, with the steamer Guiding Star, delivering the first passengers from downtown Cincinnati. Initially, the boat made a 10-mile run to the park 4 times a day at 9 a.m., 1 p.m., 4 p.m., and 7 p.m. The charge was 50 cents round trip, including park admission.
50 cents.
50 cents.
50 cents.
Now, a lake was built for small boats and canoes. A walkway with giant swings was added, more rides, and eventually the first of a series of roller coasters. We're laughing because I say roller coasters, not roller coasters. The park grew and changed owners, grew some more, changed owners again, and by 1925 more rides were added, roller coasters, a 2-story moonlit garden restaurant and dance pavilion.
Oh,
Now,
neat.
in the 30s, Lena Horne was down there. They had 4,900 people in the dance pavilion. So it was quite successful.
That's a big pavilion.
And my delight, the Sunlight Pool. Now, the Sunlight Pool was and still is an engineering marvel. It measures an incredible 200 by 401 feet.
That's really
It
good.
remains the largest recirculating swimming pool in the world. Now, that I measured the square feet out there, and it comes out of 1.7 football fields in water.
Wow, and I thought the Portsmouth pool was big.
Yeah. It holds over 3 million gallons of water at depths from 6 inches to 10 feet.
Wow.
And you could had a 30-foot diving tower. I jumped off it once. I was afraid to dive. But 30 feet is a long way down.
Yeah.
They have up to 10,000 swimmers can be accomplished at a time. But by 1928, Coney Island was the largest amusement park in the country, and they had roller coasters, water rides, fun houses, and the hand-carved 3-row carousel. Coney Island is still going strong. The tickets can be purchased online for the rides. The pool and the bungee jump runs up to $26+ for everything, slightly more than 50 cents round trip. I've had a ball with this report. Terry, have you got a story?
I bet I can find one. I got some jokes. I got some cat jokes here. How about some cat jokes?
Cat jokes are great.
Did you hear about the cat who swallowed a ball of mittens? Mittens! I messed that up right away. Looking for my button. What do you call the cat that was caught by the police? The perpetrator. Why is the cat so grouchy? Because he's in a bad mood. Okay, why do cats like to eat for breakfast? What do cats like to eat for breakfast? Mice Krispies!
And what's a cat's way of keeping law and order?
Law enforcement!
Law enforcement, oh my.
That's funny. What do cats like to eat on a hot day? A ice cream cone! Okay, let's find a big.
Got some interesting things here. Why didn't Noah swap those 2 mosquitoes?
I don't know, he should have.
And why does the sun lighten our hair but darken our skin?
I don't know.
Yeah, you don't know. Why are they called apartments when they're all stuck together?
I always wonder that myself. Okay. Here, let me read this joke here. This is one of my favorites. It's 11 people were hanging on a rope under a helicopter. 2 men and 1 woman. The rope was not strong enough to carry them all, so they decided one of them had to drop off, otherwise they were all going to fall. They were not able to choose which person, but then the woman made a very touching speech. She said that she would voluntarily let go of the rope, because as a woman, she was used to giving up everything for her husband and children, and for men in general, without ever getting anything in return. As soon as she finished her speech, all the men started clapping their hands.
Down we go.
Yeah, I like that one.
That's a neat one. The guys, 2 retired old geezers flew to Canada for adventure. They chartered a small plane to take them to the Rockies for a week of hunting moose. They managed to bag a total of 6. That's an awful lot. And a moose is so big, you know.
Yeah.
Loading the plane to return, the pilot said the plane could only take 4 moose.
Nice.
Last year we shot 6, and the pilots let us take them all. And he had exactly the same kind of plane as yours. Reluctantly, the pilot gave in, and all 6 were loaded. The plane took off, and while attempting to cross over the mountains, even on full power, the little plane went down. Miraculously surrounded by moose bodies, Patty and Mick survived the crash, climbed out of the wreckage, and Patty says, "Mick, any idea where we are?" Mick replied, "I think we're pretty close to where we crashed last year." Terry, I was looking
At 60 seconds.
at some things about generations there. Baby boomers and Gen X. I guess we're going to have to talk about that next week. In summary, we've presented our views on several subjects, provided the views of certain early 20th century pundits, and some humorous stories as accompaniment. We don't expect you to agree with our views. We do hope you appreciate our attempt. Our mission on these Blog Talk radio presentations is to stimulate your thinking, put your mind into new channels, pump up your interest in life, and rebuild your enthusiasm about the world around us. Now, whether you're pro or con, we insist that you join us as we
investigate,
evaluate,
and participate.
We want to thank you for listening to our podcast today. This program is archived at Blog Talk Radio, captured and archived for YouTube video, and linked to Facebook as Musings with Steve and Teresa by date. Comments are welcome. We'll see you next Tuesday at 2 p.m., May the 22nd. I'm Steve.
I'm Teresa.
Thank you for listening.
Think positive,
be positive, live positive. Goodbye.
Bye. See ya.
This show was brought to you by Gigi Blankies since 2011. Musings with Steve and Teresa are a Blog Talk weekly feature talking about different changing times and how it applies to you. For a complete selection of Gigi Blankies, please call Teresa at 740-727-1684. Thank you for listening.